What's up, guys? You are watching Truth with Tara, and today I have Faouzia. I'm so excited to meet you, Faouzia. Thank you so much for being on. Let's get right to it, shall we?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So first of all, congrats on your latest single, La La La. I love it.
Thank you.
And on that vein, you've got a really fantastic variety of music. I've been following you since, the beginning when you released your first song up to now, La La La, which is the most recent. And
Yes.
how do you define what makes a Faouzia song?
I think from the start of my career and just from the start of my musical journey, even as a kid, I've always loved exploring different genres of music, and I've always been fascinated by the pop realm. So anything that lives within that world is something that I would listen to and that I would love to write. And so I think the way that I started my career was very, I would say, like organic in the way that it was just me and the piano. And I feel like I've been building from that. And you can kind of see that journey happen and that transition happen from my first song, which was Bad Dreams, which was just myself and the piano. And then I had other songs that were a little more produced, and I still had the stripped versions of them. And so then I moved into this pop world, and I feel like I've been exploring everything that I love and also staying true to myself and my roots, which is the more like emotional ballad world that I started with.
Speaking of your roots, you are originally from Morocco
Yes.
and you moved to Canada at a young age, right?
Yes. I was I was just a baby. I was one
Oh,
when we
okay.
immigrated, yeah, to Canada. And we first stayed in Montreal for like a little while, like a couple months. And then we stayed in Winnipeg for a year. And then we then moved to a tiny, tiny town outside of Winnipeg with a population of like 2,000 at the time.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I went to school in a town of a population of about like 800 or 600. Like it was so tiny. And so I grew up in a very rural area.
Yeah.
And I always feel like I've just been isolated in my little world. And that world is like my house. And my parents would literally always play Arabic music. And we would,
Okay.
yeah, and we would eat like Moroccan food. And I would speak Arabic at home and French. And so I felt like I was still in my little Morocco
Yeah.
in
In your
this,
house.
yeah, in this rural area.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
Is were you kind of fed Moroccan food and Moroccan music growing up? Because I so evidently hear that in every song you sing, even the popified songs, which by the way, I love, and we'll get into that a little later.
Thank you. Yes, I always like every time I would enter my house, like after school, it was just like I said, like a mini Morocco. And that's why I feel like I stayed so connected to my roots.
Yeah.
And I am so glad that I still speak the language
Yeah.
and that I have very like Moroccan mannerisms as well. And I just feel like it's so ingrained in me. And even when I have gone back to Morocco, everyone's like, oh my gosh, like it's like you guys never left. So
Wow.
yeah,
That's
I'm so
fascinating.
thank you. I'm so glad I got to experience like Canadian culture as well as Moroccan culture, and I feel like it created um, a pretty fun mix in my music.
It's actually a pretty needed mix, and I'm going to tell you why. So, for me as a vocal coach, when I listen to singers, and even when I sing myself, I always try to listen to the roots of that singer, and I want to hear what makes them them, and that's why I asked you what makes a Faouzia song, because for me, listening to you, I do hear the influence of mainstream pop, of course, but when you riff and when you run, the notes that you choose are strategically chosen, even if unintentionally, like subconsciously strategically chosen to err on that Moroccan Arabic side. And it makes, to me, it makes for the most enjoyable to listen to, fun, surprising, unexpected riffs and runs within the context of mainstream pop. And I think that's really important because a lot of pop music nowadays is so straightforward in the center. There's really not much musicality. There's not much that you don't expect to hear in the song, but you add that unexpected in the context of a genre that you hear a lot of expected in, and I think that's actually very needed in pop right now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. I mean, like you said, it's a lot of it comes subconsciously. And sometimes when I write songs like RIP Love or La La La, it is more intentional with the melodies that I choose and the riffs that I am doing.
Okay, that was another question. Like, do you vocal map that out? Are you hand kind of designing that, or as you write, is it sort of like, well, whatever comes out is what it is?
It depends. I mean, for RIP Love, I specifically walked in the session and I wanted to make something that was an Arabic pop song. And that was the first time that I had set that intention walking into a session, and we wrote RIP Love. But for La La La, for example, that one came very naturally, and that wasn't my intention in the session, but the melodies were in that space, and it was still very pop, but because it was something that came very naturally to me, there's still that like Moroccan flair in it for sure.
Do you find that it's easier to add that Moroccan flair on major or minor chords, one over the other?
Oh, definitely over minor.
Yeah.
And then like there's also the chords that are like which go from like minor to major. There's like there are definitely scales that make it a lot easier for sure.
Yes, for sure.